Hello everyone, Pallytime here, and welcome to Valheim. This is a Viking-themed survival game that has completely taken Steam by storm. It is an early access, came out about a week ago as of the time of this recording, and has already sold well over 1 million copies. I have been enjoying my time in this game so much. If you've been by my Twitch stream lately, you already know that. I've been playing, building, harvesting a ton, and I wanted to share a little bit of that experience with you guys. If you were interested in the game and you wanted to get started, this video should help you along your way really, really easily. We're gonna make a new character, and hold on, before we get into that, I was a little skeptical when I saw this screen. This doesn't look particularly good. Just give it a chance, okay? Give it a second. It gets better. We're just gonna throw a character together really fast, and his name is going to be Fred. And we're gonna make a new world called Fred's World. If you would like to play along with us, all of these levels are procedurally generated, and they're massive, by the way. You can type in this code here, this seed, put it in, and we'll be on the exact same playing field. However, that's certainly not required at all. The goal of today's video is to get a base established and survive the first night. Enemies get a lot more aggressive at night, and we want to try to avoid dying at all costs. Not that dying's that big of a deal, I just don't like doing it, okay? Without any further ado, let us begin. There is a little bit of a cutscene at the start, but I'm gonna skip that and meet you guys on the other side. As we enter the game, we're being carried by a giant bird. Slowly but surely, you'll start to see a little bit of the landscape peeking through, but this is a pretty big storm. If I didn't mention it already, this is a game you can play solo or with up to 10 people. You can just make whatever world you have, open for your friends to join, open for anyone to join, and it's a really, really fun multiplayer experience, but we're going to be just fine by ourselves as well. And it looks like we're being put down. The spawn location always looks the same. These stones around a circular stone. And, oh, we found our first piece of wood already. I really love the progression in this game. Basically how it works is when you interact with a new object for the first time, you learn new things you can craft with that object. So because this is the first time we've ever interacted with a branch or wood, when we pick it up, we learn to craft several things. One of those being a club, which we can use to defend ourselves. Definitely recommend you talk to your little bird friend. His name is Hugen, and he will give you tips about playing. A stone on the ground here as well, super useful for us at the start of the game. One thing I would recommend you keep an eye out for is water. Some of your map is revealed. Oh, interesting. Some of your map is revealed as you're flying over with the big bird. A lot of water revealed for us. Each of these servers is going to be different. And just to give you an idea, this is what we've seen so far. And this is the size of the world. Yep. 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 So first thing we're going to look for here, oh, we actually found some food on the ground right away, and these small little trees. We're just going to punch this tree to death. As we land blow after blow, it gets weaker, but not only that, our unarmed skill increases because we are practicing unarmed attacks versus something that has a health bar, even though we can't necessarily see it. Some things to keep an eye on here. At the bottom of the screen, we have a stamina bar that is draining with each punch. In order to get our stamina back, we just have to chill for a few seconds. Our character has the wet debuff. You can see that up at the top right. And that's just because we flew through a storm to get over here. One of the reasons you want to keep an eye out for water when you first start the game is because it's a really easy location to find loose stones on the ground. And once you can pick up a few of these, I mean, you can find them in the grassland too. There's just a little more sparse. Once you pick up a few of these, you're going to start to be able to make tools that make surviving in this land significantly easier. So as my feet hit the ground, we want to find wood immediately, and we want to find stones right after that. I actually spotted my first enemy. It's called a neck. It's a lizard, and these things are a little territorial. So we're going to craft a club by hitting tab and then using this menu on the left side, or on the right side, excuse me. These are all the things I know how to craft so far. It's a very limited list, but with the club, it increases my reach a little bit farther than what my hands can do, and it's also going to increase our damage a bit. And of course, as I use the club, we get better at using clubs in general. This game has a very natural skill progression. As you perform a task, you get better at performing the task. So if you like using clubs and blunt objects, you can use that. If you like using knives, you can use those and get better. Spears, hatchets, so on and so forth. I know what weapons are, I swear. But it's not only attacking that makes your character better. For instance, if I jump a few times while I have stamina, we get better at jumping. And once you max out your jumping skill, reportedly, I haven't done this yet, but reportedly you can jump 3 times your normal base height that you start the game with. Also, running. You just get better at moving around the world the more you move around the world. It's a really, really cool system. And you can see all of your skills by clicking on this icon on the tab menu, or at least the skills that you have uncovered. Notice there's a bunch of space here. These are things I can improve that I have not yet found. I'm really glad I crafted the club because we have some boars that are moving in by the spawn, and we also have that goblin-looking thing that we could take down as well. These boars give us leather, but also give us meat that we can then cook on a fire later on. I did take some damage. If you look at the bottom left-hand side of the screen, we're at 12 out of 25 health right now. How you regenerate HP in this game is simply by eating. You do technically have hunger, but you'll never die from being hungry. So while this is a survival game, it's actually really lax on food consumption. What food exists for is generating health over time, as well as generating a stamina, making a bigger stamina bar so you can move around the world easier. Okay, so we're going to look at some of these things that we can craft on the right side. A stone axe simply makes it easier to chop wood down. And it makes it so we don't have to rely on these small trees here, but we can start to cut down bigger trees, which yield a higher amount of wood. So with my stone axe, I can go up to this big tree here, start swinging away at it. Our wood cutting skill begins to increase, making us more efficient at wood cutting. And eventually, once we deal enough damage, this tree will fall. And make sure it doesn't fall on you, because it can kill you. I'm going to beat up this guy with my club really fast, and then we can get back to chopping down some trees. Notice that raspberry I ate earlier. It is shown to the left of my health. If you look down here at the bottom left, if you can see my cursor. So we've consumed the, is it a raspberry or strawberry? Raspberry. We consumed the raspberry, and slowly but surely, our health is being refilled. You can have up to 3 effects from different foods at one time. So if I also had some of that cooked boar, the cooked pork that we found earlier, we could consume that and kind of double up on food effects and still have enough room for one other type of consumable. While I'm cutting down these trees, I can briefly explain a little bit about the biomes. The biome that we're in right now is called the meadow. It is the easiest area in the game. Meadows aren't very scary at all. Most of the enemies here can be killed with a few swings, like that little goblin guy that just ran towards us. And there's only 3 types of aggressive enemies, as far as I know, and that would be the boars, the lizards, and the goblins. I want to have a base established by the nighttime, because at night, those guys roam around a little bit more, they get a little bit more aggressive, and, well, I don't want to die. If we die, we lose some skill progress on these activities that we've been doing. So let's say if I died, maybe my woodcutting would go down to 7 or 8 rather than being at 9. It's not super punishing, although the higher you level up your skills, the longer it takes to level. So I imagine at higher levels, dying would be a lot more detrimental. For us, it's not that big of a deal at the moment. If you look up in my hotbar at the top left corner, our stone hatchet, it's almost completely drained of its durability. It's going to be breaking soon. At the start of the game, I recommend you make 2 of these hatches, and they just take 5 wood and 4 stone. We've gathered plenty of wood from beating up these trees, and we found plenty of stones by the waterfront. There is going to be a way to repair these, but I've typically found that I need the amount of wood that 2 hatchets can gather. Of course, you can use these hatchets as an offensive weapon. If you like the idea of using axes as your main damage source, you don't have to use the wooden club at all, so you can make more of these if you want. Remember, this is just a guideline to get you started off in the world. Oh, also, because of those raspberries that I ate, my maximum health was increased a little bit. If we eat some cooked food, which I'll be showing you how to do that soon, our maximum HP will increase by quite a lot. Raspberries are actually one of the weakest foods in the game, but you can find them really early on, and they certainly help get you started. One of my favorite things to do is just like kind of clear cut before I really start chopping down the trees that fall, because as these fall, they deal damage to other trees, and you can get free cuts on trees without having to do anything. Like right there, it split that tree in half, it dealt damage to this one, so now both of these trees are weaker just because they fell into each other, and it's gonna take less durability out of my axe to collect the same amount of wood. At the bottom left-hand side of the screen, where that raspberry icon is that we've talked about several times, you'll notice that it's starting to flash. And you may also notice that my maximum HP is slowly deteriorating as well. The reason for that is, well, you get hungry over time. Once this icon starts to flash, you can consume another one of the same food to refresh the benefit. Now my maximum HP has been increased again, and that raspberry is sitting well in my tummy. So if we want to repair our hatchets and if we want to build more stuff, how do we go about doing that? Well, we need to craft a hammer. That's going to take 3 wood and 2 stone. With this hammer, I'll be able to construct a base to keep myself safe. And the sun is starting to go down. Maybe it's like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon right now. So we have plenty of time. Now, I haven't really explored this area too much, so I'm just gonna build my first shelter right here by the spawn point. And we do that by selecting the hammer that we just crafted and then right-clicking. And this will open up this menu, which gives us a lot of different things for us to interact with. In order to start building, you do need a workbench. And we're just going to throw this down wherever we can. This is a relatively flat area here. Let's chuck the workbench down right over there. This workbench has an area of influence in which you can craft in or place buildings down in, which is this circle. Anything the circle touches, Simba, is our kingdom. We can also just put down more workbenches wherever you like. And you'll see once that workbench went down, we learned a ton of new building recipes. And all of those can be done with the hammer. Once again, right-clicking to open up this menu. So, the workbench is on the ground. How do I repair my tools that have been degraded? Well, you actually need to build a little bit of a base first. So I'm going to, on kind of a high point, lay the foundation for the rest of my home with these wooden floors. Now, you don't have to do this. In order to actually repair your tools or anything, the workbench has to have a roof over it. So basically the game is trying to teach you the basics of the building before you can really venture out too far into the game. We built a 3x3 with a section missing in the middle. I'm going to use some of those other stones that we found early on to put a fire pit right down in the middle of this. This is going to be my workshop area and base all rolled into one for at least the first few days. Now, with the hammer, we can do its alternate action, I guess we call it an action. Also, there's other stuff. So if we were attacking, this is our left click action. We could also do an alternate action with our fist to do a kick as well. So if you want an enemy to get some space away from you, you can hit middle mouse and it'll kick them back, which can maybe give you some more time to regen some stamina or something. The hammer also has an alternate action. When you're using it and you're in the area of a workshop, it will break whatever you are looking at. In that instance, we broke the workshop. Now we need to rebuild it so we can build again. This time, we're putting it in our base though. Now that we have that placed, we want to put some walls around the outside. I'm gonna put these probably too high. Leave a space open in the front for a door as well, right here. And now that the walls are in place, we're simply going to add a thatch roof. Which one you add doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure your stuff is covered. I'm actually going to go with the 26-degree roof rather than the other options. And really, what you're looking for here is that your workshop be covered. In order to repair your equipment, your workshop has to have a base over it, or a roof over it. But once it does, you're going to be able to click this icon here. Just spam click it. There's no resource being consumed. It's just going to repair all of your tools in your inventory as you spam click that. Our roof isn't the nicest thing in the world. I will admit that. If we select our hammer again, we can build some stairs and then use these stairs to get up to the roof. There is like building strength that you have to worry about. That's what these different colors are. Green is good, red is bad. That's the very quick TLDR summary for building, although it's actually pretty complicated. Maybe I'll put one more on the end just to reach that side a little bit easier. And in the middle here, we can put the rest of the roof on. Now, one thing I'm going to do that may look weird to you at the start, I'm going to put these 1 meter poles down and then put the rest of the roof raised up a little bit. The reason for that is your fire actually needs to be able to let the smoke escape from the building. Otherwise, you suffocate to death on smoke. So we added that extra raised area at the top just to let the smoke ventilate just a little bit. The sun is setting. You'll notice the music changes once nighttime is here. But we're pretty much good to go. This is our base. We need to craft some furniture now. We can put a bed down in the corner. In order to sleep in a bed, you need that bed to be near a fire to keep yourself warm. And we're also going to build a small chest at the foot of our bed. In order to cook the food that we found earlier, we're going to need to craft a cooking station, put that directly over our fire, and then we can add any meat that we found to that fire. Make sure you keep an eye on this meat, because if you let it sit for too long, it'll overcook and turn into coals. No one wants to eat coals. In fact, you can't eat it. Just don't even try. There it is. It's all done. We can go ahead, eat that up. You'll notice that our raspberry, once again, down at the bottom left is blinking, so we can eat a new one of those. Our maximum health has been increased by a ton because we've had some cooked meat. Our stamina is increased by a ton because we've had some cooked meat. And just for the sake of looking a little bit better, let's see if we can make this look somewhat presentable for everyone here. Good enough, dude. Good enough. So that's our day one structure. As nighttime falls, there it is. We start to feel cold. We're gonna be able to walk inside here. Our bird's gonna share the bed with us tonight. Our spawn point has been set, and Fred can now slumber. Basically, that means we skip the nighttime, we skip the scariest part of the game, we wake up in the morning feeling refreshed, the enemies aren't super aggressive, and we can continue on our journey. The next thing I would recommend you guys do is take a look at some of these other things that you can craft here. We have some leather scraps that we can use to craft rag armor. However, I would recommend that you try to get a bow up and running as fast as possible. This bow will help you hunt deer more easily, and deer help you get to the second tier of armor faster. You can also use a spear and throw that at your enemies. However, it's up to you. Do whatever you want. So with my giant HP bar, my giant stamina bar from being well fed, we are simply going to venture into the forest now. Yes, Mr. Bird, I will talk to you. Please stop following me. We are on the hunt for boar right now. Deer tend to outrun me. Deer are pretty quick. However, boar are territorial. So they'll try to stand their ground and fight you a little bit. And we could use that to our advantage. Here's one here. This boar will continue to drop meat that we can then cook on the fire, and also hopefully drop some more leather. That one wasn't very kind to me. Oh, right here is an abandoned building. We could have set up shop inside of this thing as well. There is a chest inside. We could steal some things from that. Don't worry, no one's gonna come looking for it. You don't have to feel bad. And always make sure you look out for a beehive there. You can actually replant beehives and they'll generate honey for you, which is a really, really, really good food. Also, another really small tip. Actually, it's a pretty big tip. If you decide that you want to remember the location of this building, you can hit M, select the map, or select an icon on the map here. I'm gonna go with the house because it's a home, and just double click right here, and we can label it whatever. Obviously, this isn't my house, but we see our house over here, so I can name that home. We could double right click and name this something else. Hut. And this is an organic way for you to map out your surroundings so you don't get lost and easily remember where objects are. One thing I do, if I find a dungeon, I mark it with this circle, and then if I've cleared that dungeon, you can double click on that, or single click on it, and it'll mark it with an X. So if I've already cleared out a place, I can mark it, then mark that I've cleared it as well. Pretty good tip. These runestones around the world just give you a little bit more insight into what's going on. I'll let you guys uncover that for yourselves. Oh, this deer ran into me. Nice. Deer hide is valuable. Give me your deer hide. Nice. I love the lighting and fog effects in this game. It's absolutely stunning. It looks really, really good. The water effects too. That's one of the reasons, like, I was a little hesitant about the graphics of this game when I was just looking at the character creator. But once I got in, I didn't even think about the graphics again. It's just beautiful. The fog is making it a little hard to find the boars today, but I did just stumble across a village here. Now, this could be a place, excuse the frame drops, this could be a place that I could just move into. I could save this for myself. What we see here is a gold star boar. We can right click with our club to block some damage from him. And if we do it at the perfect time, it'll do a parry. We could also hold right click and then hit spacebar to roll away from this. And this will give you immunity frames as well. I just want to give you some combat tips before this video is wrapped up. But yeah, if I see this place and I wanted to make it my home, we could absolutely just move in and make it our own, and that would be fine. You could rebuild these buildings, have a nice little village all to yourself. But of course, these places, because they used to be occupied, usually have some food on farms. They usually have chests in these areas. This black forest text that you just saw in the middle of the screen means I reached a new biome. The black forest is more difficult than the meadows that we started in. And I don't really feel like I'm personally ready to go into the Black Forest. If we put a workshop down here, we could break these wood piles, and that would be a huge amount of supplies. Also, if we didn't want to move in here, we could just break down all of these buildings for supplies as well. I moved really far south from where we started. It's gonna be getting dark soon. I'm gonna start to head back up north, but this was a really good find. If you're hunting next specifically for lizard meat, they like to hang out by the water. we have a pretty big river that runs right by our base. So if I wanted to hunt these guys specifically, all I would do is run by the water line here. Another thing you could try to do as well, if you didn't want to make a bow, it's a lot more difficult to do, I think, is sneak. Sneaking drains stamina as you move around. Obviously, these deer have pretty good line of sight here as well. But I could slowly but surely try to walk my way up behind one of these and attack! And that deer will give us meat just like the boar. And that deer will also give us a different kind of leather. It's a much more higher quality leather that's used in more advanced crafting recipes because deer are significantly harder to hunt than boar. I spent the entirety of my second day just trying to hunt. I got 8 of the normal raw meat and also 8 of the necktail meat by sticking to the water line and specifically hunting for those lizards. We have a decent amount of wood. We have 9 hide and 2 deer hide. So let's head inside and see if we can craft anything. We are able to make a crude bow with the leather that we got. It's going to take 10 wood. We can slap that together really fast. And I should mention that this workbench rather, is going to need to be upgraded periodically. So one thing we need to upgrade this is flint. I'm going to run down to the water line really fast before it gets too dark. The sun is about to set, and I'll show you what upgrading a workbench looks like. But hey, now that we have the bow, hunting deer is going to be super easy. I'll probably wait until the morning to show that off, though. Oh, look, on the way back, there's a deer just at the top of this hill. So I pulled my arrow out. I drew it back all the way. Notice my stamina's being drained while I'm holding it. And unfortunately, I missed the shot. Can I? No! All right, back home just in time for night. Perfect. Let's try to improve our cooking situation while we're here, too. I'm just going to use my hammer to break the cooking station that we have now. And we can place more than one on top of our fire. That'll make cooking all of this meat that we just acquired much, much faster. By the way, make sure you don't walk on the fire. You'll burn yourself alive. In order to upgrade our workbench, we simply need to craft the... Oh, I'm out of wood! We have enough wood. We're going to pull out our hammer and build a chopping block. It has to be within range of the workshop, but once you put that down, you're going to be able to craft more advanced things here. The reason you want to be able to hunt deer early on is because the deer hide is used to make better armor. And we can use arrows with our bow to really make hunting those deer super duper easy. Okay, I spotted one right here. We're going to pull the bow out, aim high. There's a lot of arrow drop, especially when your bow skill is low. Perfect shot. Gather up that leather. Unfortunately, not going to land that shot. But we can just follow after this deer. He'll come down eventually. And we'll be able to get leather from there. With the food that we cooked last night, we can eat the grilled necktail as well as the grilled meat. Look at our HP bar and our stamina bar from being well rested and from eating food. We have a giant boost to our stamina. Look at that. I see him just above the grass here. That was a hit. If you haven't caught on yet, the deer in this game kind of bark. So as you're moving around, you can listen for that noise. Perfect hit. To kind of spot them through the foliage. Also, I mean, you don't have to use a bow. You can play however you want, my dude. I just think this is a really easy way to get established early on. So with the deer that we have taken down, we have 7 hide. We can make leather with some of this leather armor. This is what my other character is still using. It's pretty good, especially for the start of the game. Another thing you could do with the deer hide is select the hammer and then go to the furniture tab and put a deer rug down somewhere in your home, which will make you feel more comfortable, which just gives your character some passive benefits that you can use while you're exploring if you spend a little bit of time in your encampment. One more thing I want to cover before we move on, this upgrade tab over here. You probably want to utilize this. Our stone axe, for instance, if we just upgrade it one time, and then we can compare it to the other, you could see the upgraded stone axe has 25 slash damage, whereas this one has 20. This is also going to increase your durability. 160 durability on this, 130 durability on this. So once you find a weapon that you like to use, upgrading it is a good way to just make it even more effective. And this will also guide you towards, progression for your character. Oh, I want to make my character a little bit stronger. How do I do that? Well, if you like using the bow, that means you're going to hunt a few deer, a few boar, get your wood up. That sounds weird out of context. If you like the club, you need to find some bone fragments from skeletons. This game's really, really cool. As you venture into the Black Forest, there are gigantic trolls using trees as weapons, breaking everything in their path. There's undead crypts that house skeletons rising up to fight you, and treasure awaits inside. There's also 5 key bosses that this gives you a few hints about. If you interact with this, it'll tell you a little bit about the first boss, and show you where you can summon him at. And that is all you need to get started. I'm not going to tell you anything else. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button. If we get a really good reaction on this, maybe I'll show off our server that I'm playing with my friends and show you guys what we've made. It's really, really cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I really, really like this game, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. Take care. I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.